So this is for EOW Log 5. I have a computer right next to me, so if you see me looking to the side, it's because I'm looking at the other questions. So the first question says, did you enter the worksite you observed? Did you interact with anyone to do so? I did it, I did enter the worksite that I observed just because I wanted to get like the hands-on experience of being a detached observer. I felt as if I like didn't enter it, I probably would have not I probably wouldn't have gotten the same experience. Did I interact with anyone? I didn't interact with anyone, being that it was an emergency room, and like the hospital that I went into, they kind of just let, you know, anyone that kind of needs help, or basically anyone from the outside world who needs like medical attention, or it doesn't really, like, you don't have to have an exact like reason, I guess, unless you're looking for like specific like help. Yeah, I don't it wasn't like really that much of a problem to enter it. Yeah, and I didn't have to interact with anyone, nor did I really want to. So yeah. It says, did you speak to any of the workers or clients you observed? I didn't speak to any of the workers or clients, being that I was a detached observer. I wanted to remain detached. I felt as if I was to talk to like any of the workers or clients, it would like affect what I had recorded, and the way I kind of went about things. So I didn't interact or speak to anyone there. It says, did you buy anything if the work site you observed was a business, or did you use any of the services the work site provides? Um, Being that it was a hospital, so it wasn't a business. It wasn't a clothing store or anything like that. So I didn't buy anything or get to buy anything. It says, did you use any of the services? Being that I wasn't being helped, or I wasn't like an actual patient and I was just an observer, I didn't get to use any of the services. And probably if I was a patient, I would have gotten to. But being that I wanted to remain detached and just be an observer, yeah, I didn't get to use any of the services either. Were you noticed by the workers you observed? How did you know? I was noticed by the worker that I observed, being that it was again at a front desk, and I kind of wanted to get like a hands-on experience, so I sat directly in front of the worker, not directly, like to make it like look as if I was not detached and like an active participant, but I kind of just I sat in one of the first rows in like the line of seats that they had for the patients. And yeah, I sat there, and I was noticed by the worker, being that it was at a front desk and it was at a hospital, and every time at a hospital you always want to make sure if every patient is like catered to, or okay, and just yeah. So yeah, I was noticed by the worker, and I knew just because like a few glances here and there, and like again, the worker kept looking up to see if anyone else needed help. So yeah, like I was noticed by her, but it didn't really, I don't think it really affected my analysis, being that I still remained detached, and she didn't really say anything. So yeah. Did any of the above affect your observation? If so, how? Uh, I don't think any of the things that I got from the experience like affected my observation. Because I was still detached, and I just did what I had to do. I don't think that there was really anything that could have changed what I got from it. Maybe being noticed by the worker could have changed it a little bit, but from my experience, she didn't like really say anything, or there wasn't any really real interaction there. So yeah, nothing really affected it. So the next set of questions says, use the following questions to determine how being detached or an active participant might have changed the observation and results. What kind of information were you able to gather through being detached? For example, physical description, number of workers, etc. Um, Being a detached observer, I was able to, I don't know, kind of get like a hands-on view of what the person did and basically what a typical day in the life of that person is when working. So yeah, what I got from it was like I just got to see how the person at the front desk, interacted with certain people, and how they moved around their workspace, and how they, just went about their daily routine. And I mean, of course, not every day is the same, but I mean, I kind of basically got like an overall typical day in the life of someone who works at a hospital at a front desk. So, um, this probably would have like changed, or like my analysis probably would have changed if I was an active participant, just because I don't think it would have been the same. I think that the worker would have been like, obviously, like the worker would have known that I was there to observe, and like I don't know, I feel like it just would have changed it. I feel like there would have been more interaction with me and the worker, which probably would have affected my analysis, being that I get distracted very easily, and I probably would have been paying attention to my conversation with the worker instead of paying attention to what's actually going on. So, yeah, that's the way it probably would have affected my analysis, being that I do get distracted very easily. Was there an opportunity to interact with the workers or clients to gather more information? Were you tempted to participate? Um, there were many opportunities that I had to kind of interact with the workers there. Um, but I didn't like take up that opportunity, just because again I wanted to remain a detached observer. I was kind of tempted to participate, just because you meet a lot of different people being in an emergency room, and you get to see like the clients that come in, and the problems that they face, and why they're really there. So it was a little difficult to like kind of stay back, just because you know sometimes you want to be nosy and just find out why that person is there, or you know like how exactly the worker and the client were interacting, and just kind of be face to face with them. But I mean, I got to make my own kind of opinions on the interactions, even though I wasn't actually like in front of their face getting like an actual description of it. But I mean, based on like I worked with what I had, and I still wanted to be like, I still wanted to remain a detached observer. So yeah. Uh I was tempted to participate, but even though I was tempted to participate, I think being an attached or an active participant probably would have changed this, just because again, it just would have been a lot of interaction, and I probably would have gotten distracted easily, and it just probably wouldn't have ended up being all that well. Yeah, and I probably wouldn't have gotten as much information or as much out of it as I did being a detached observer. Um, what kind of information was difficult to discover through being detached? For example, details about job positions. Um, some information that was difficult for me to kind of get being a detached observer was when the person at the front desk had been working like on whatever she was working on, like files, I guess. I wasn't able to see what she was actually typing into the computer. So being that I didn't get to see that, it just kind of like threw me off a little bit. I didn't really get to like know what she was typing, and how that coordinated with her job or her workspace, and just what she did. So yeah, I mean, that was one of the more difficult things through being detached. If I was attached, I probably would have gotten to like see what was going on, like, and what she had been typing, just because she probably would have known that I was there to observe. So yeah, it definitely probably would have changed a lot if I would have been an active participant in it. Um, but what methods would be more effective to discover that kind of information? Um, I mean, you can't exactly like find an effective way to discover information, like putting like things into a computer, being that like without being an attached observer. It's either you're attached or you're detached. There is no really like effective way that you can just go in and be like, oh, yeah, I'm a detached observer, but I'm just gonna see what you're typing into your computer. It's either you're attached or detached when it comes to like the things that I found difficult in it. So I mean, probably being an active participant and kind of being an attached observer, probably would have been more effective in discovering the things that I found difficult, which was like finding things like what my worker had been typing into the computer. Were you tempted to use those methods while trying to stay detached? Um, I was a little tempted. I was a little tempted to like actually find out what the worker had been writing, but I knew that I had enough like and enough other things that I had observed being a detached observer to kind of just back me up on my observation. So uh even though I was tempted, like I don't yeah. I mean yeah, like I knew I just yeah, like I knew like what I had done, and I knew that I wanted to remain detached, and that's what I got. And I still was able to gather a lot of information out of it, even though I remained detached. So yeah. Being an attached observer probably would have changed my like just my whole like feel of it. It just would have changed everything really, because like they would have known. And yeah, I probably just would have interacted with a lot more people and probably would have gotten more information, but information that isn't really relevant to a detached observer. So yeah, it definitely would have been different. It says, lastly, think about the information in oral evidence and interviewing that you had investigated during class on Friday, and answer the following questions. What kind of information can you discover using interviews? You can like discover a lot of information using interviews. I mean, depending on the person like that you're interviewing, because like different people are open about different things, and some people are more private. So um yeah, I think you can discover a lot of things um just by interviewing somebody and just asking them questions. What kind of information may be difficult to discover using interviews? Some information that might be difficult is probably personal questions. Um, a lot of people aren't comfortable enough to share something personal, or anything about like their personal life, or just really anything that's kind of like close to their heart. A lot of people are more private with stuff like that, and especially if they don't know the interviewer. um yeah, it can just get a little difficult to discover, just because the person may not trust you, or just might be more private and not want to share something like that. um what three what 3 to 5 questions would you have difficulty answering in an interview? Why or how so? Um, some Okay, probably the number one question that I would be like that I would have difficulty answering is anything, I don't know, I guess anything that like any struggle that I had like experienced in the past, or anything like that, just because it has to do with something that, you know, that it was a struggle for me, or, you know, hurt me in the past. So that's probably like my number one. Second question I would have difficulty answering is anything about family, or yeah, anything about family, because I'm not exactly a gossiper or anything like that. So I even though I love my family, I would hate to be put in a position where I would have to badmouth somebody. Um, yeah. A third question would probably be, I guess, anything on like love life or something like that, just because I don't know, personal relationships with people should be between like myself and those people. I don't believe in really like speaking out about like certain things like that. So yeah, that would probably be another question that I'll have difficulty answering. How could an interviewer discover that information from you without making you feel uncomfortable? Um, an interviewer can discover information like that I like from questions that I feel like uncomfortable with to make me feel comfortable. Probably just, I don't know, like be funny, or that like act like my friend almost. I don't know, talk to me and, you know, just make me feel comfortable. Like have a casual conversation with me first, and, you know, yeah, that then it'll probably be easier to kind of just open up to that person, even though I don't exactly get comfortable with people automatically. I like it takes me a while, but you know, if you just know how to communicate with me, yeah, I can certainly answer like almost any question with me being comfortable, if the person just, yeah, just has like a good conversation with me. Okay. Um It says, what other methods can the interviewer use to get the most reliable, complete, and interesting interview results? Um, I think other methods, I mean, like aside from what I said, like just acting like the person is your friend and actually catching a casual conversation first, is definitely one of the number one things that I would personally do. Um, Anything else? I I mean, I don't really think there's too much other things that you can use with, like, I don't know, when discovering an interview, other than trying to get closer to that person. Um, the most reliable and complete, interesting results. I think when a person is comfortable with who they're talking to, I think that will probably give you the most interesting, complete, full, and you also get to like, I don't know, like experience, like, I don't know, you kind of just get a feel of that person's character by talking to them, and actually catching a casual conversation with them first. So I mean, I feel like that when people are comfortable with who they're talking to, it just, it opens a lot more doors for the interviewer. So yeah. Um, what 3 to 5 good questions would you ask any of the workers you observed to gather more information about the work site or the work rules? Well, the first question that I would ask about the work site that I viewed was, first of all, what was she typing into her computer, because I was very curious. Um, another question that I would have is like, is it hard meeting all these different people from the outside and not knowing? what what's gonna come in through the door, because when you're dealing with the outside world, you never know who you're gonna meet, or the people that'll come through the door, or the sicknesses or illnesses that they might have, because working in a hospital is just a wide variety of just people and patients and problems and sicknesses. So yeah, is it hard dealing with all these different people and characters and personalities all in one day? The third question I would have is like um the third question I would have is, do they enjoy the people, the other employees that they work with? Because I feel like when you have a good team and support system behind you, you enjoy what you do and you enjoy your job, and you enjoy your job a lot more. Also, if you like what you do, but just the people that you meet there, and yeah, that would probably be the third question that I would add. Yeah, I think that's it. And yeah, so yeah, I'm done. Bye.